9 out of 10 people wake up in the morning already feeling shattered. To push through the day, the average European spends over €100 a month on coffee and energy drinks, chasing a quick fix that never quite lasts. Biologically, caffeine provides zero actual cellular energy. It works by blocking the fatigue receptors in your brain while simultaneously forcing your adrenal glands to pump out stress hormones. When we rely on these chemical stimulants to get through the afternoon, we are simply borrowing energy from our own bodies at a predatory interest rate. The physical cost of that borrowed energy is severe. Caffeine acts as a vasoconstrictor, forcing your blood vessels and delicate capillaries to clamp down. This creates a condition called capillary hypoxia. It is a silent starvation of the tissues, where your organs and your brain are literally choked off from their oxygen supply. That heavy afternoon brain fog and the profound physiological exhaustion you feel at 2 p.m. are the direct result of this oxygen deprivation. Look at this diagram of a vascular bottleneck. On one side, blood flows freely through a healthy, wide pathway. On the other, the vessel is constricted into a narrow pipe, severely limiting the red blood cells trying to pass through. Because of this mechanical restriction, the first alarm bell usually isn't a heart attack. It is often erectile dysfunction or a sudden loss of sexual arousal, a direct physical result of arterial failure. Chronic fatigue, high blood pressure, and ED are not isolated diseases. They are symptoms of the exact same mechanical problem. Your cells are starving because your pipes are too narrow to feed them. In your limbs, starving muscle tissue fails to recover from this oxygen deficit. It leaves you with chronic aches, freezing cold hands and feet, and zero physical drive to exercise. Meanwhile, your heart has to pump the same volume of blood against a high-pressure system of narrow, unyielding pipes, forcing the cardiovascular system to work significantly harder just to maintain basic circulation. Escaping this cycle requires more than just stopping the caffeine. To address chronic burnout at its source, the challenge is primarily mechanical. We must find a way to physically relax the vessel walls and unblock the oxygen supply. In 1998, researchers uncovered a biological mechanism that naturally restores this vital blood flow. 3 American pharmacologists, Robert Furchgott, Louis Ignarro, and Farid Murad, were awarded the Nobel Prize in Medicine for their work detailing exactly how the cardiovascular system regulates itself. They discovered that the endothelium, the ultra-thin inner lining of our blood vessels, manufactures a highly unstable gaseous signaling molecule called nitric oxide. This simple structure of 1 nitrogen and 1 oxygen atom dictates the tone of our entire circulatory network. Nitric oxide acts as a direct messenger to the smooth muscles wrapping our blood vessels. The moment it is released, it instructs those muscles to relax, instantly widening the vascular lumen. Nitric oxide does not stimulate the nervous system. It restores natural, life-giving microcirculation, delivering a rush of oxygen and nutrients directly into the brain and starved tissues. The catch is that our bodies cannot sustain this production indefinitely. Our endothelial cells degrade under the stress of poor diets, environmental toxins, and normal aging. This graph maps natural vasodilator production over a lifespan. Starting at 30, our biological ability to expand blood vessels drops 10% every decade. By age 40, half our capacity is gone. By 80, we've lost 75% of our youthful vascular flexibility. Aging is very often measured in years, but biologically, it is the physical process of entering a chronic, inescapable state of systemic restriction. Because nitric oxide governs the oxygen supply for virtually every cell in the body, its presence dictates the baseline performance of every major organ system. This animated diagram illustrates nitric oxide's control over metabolism. When insulin binds to a cell, it relies on a nitric oxide signal to trigger the GLUT4 protein, which then moves to the membrane to pull glucose inside. Without enough nitric oxide, that signal drops. The glucose stays locked outside in your bloodstream, creating a state of insulin resistance even if your insulin levels are sufficient. Insulin resistance is, at its core, a failure of blood flow and molecular signaling. Because nitric oxide governs blood flow, it also regulates physical arousal. Intimate vitality in both men and women relies entirely on localized microcirculation. When that pathway fails, it serves as an early physiological warning sign of broader arterial decay. It also dictates athletic endurance. The physical sheer stress of exercise forces your body to produce nitric oxide, which in turn dramatically improves the efficiency of how your mitochondria generate ATP, your cellular energy currency. With higher efficiency, you generate more energy using less oxygen. You push back the threshold where lactic acid builds up, and you actually trigger the birth of entirely new mitochondria. Many people try to force this process by taking cheap L-arginine supplements. But as we age, the specific enzymes needed to convert arginine break down. The liver either destroys the synthetic supplement entirely or converts it into dangerous free radicals. Standard supermarket beet powders are equally ineffective. They are biologically dead, completely lacking the specific active nitrates required to trigger the conversion process. Restoring these levels requires highly bioavailable precursors that the body can readily convert, rather than relying on generic mass-market workarounds. This conversion process is the foundation of the PowerBeets concentrate, which anchors a daily protocol known as flow. The active compounds are sourced from beets grown on the Tibetan plateau. At 3,000 meters, the environmental threats are severe. Freezing winds, extreme ultraviolet radiation, and poor rocky soil force the native red beets to radically adapt just to survive. Their survival mechanism is hyperaccumulation. These specific plants pack their roots with pure organic nitrates, condensing the biological potency of 3 to 4 standard grocery store beets into a single serving. This evolutionary defense mechanism results in a biological payload of nitrates that simply cannot be replicated by standard produce grown in conventional soil. By extracting these altitude-stressed nitrates, we can directly transfer a plant's extreme survival mechanism into the human cardiovascular system. When consumed, these nitrates bypass the stomach. They are converted into active nitrates exclusively by a specific strain of beneficial bacteria living on the human tongue. If you use antiseptic mouthwashes or heavy fluoride, you destroy this delicate oral microbiome and completely neutralize your body's ability to absorb the nitrates. To maximize this conversion, the formulation includes S7, a highly specific blend of plant extracts including green coffee bean, turmeric, and kale, which acts as a chemical catalyst. Clinical trials prove that this patented S7 complex boosts the body's natural nitric oxide production by 230%. Once activated, these molecules act as biological navigators, actively seeking out and flooding the most hypoxic, oxygen-starved tissues in the body. The high-altitude nitrates and the S7 catalyst create a precision delivery system, flooding deep tissues with cellular oxygen. Preparing the protocol is a deliberate ritual. You mix the ruby-red concentrate into ice-cold water, slowly swirling it until it forms a thick, champagne-like foam, and drink it slowly to maximize salivary conversion. You can feel this internal shift. Within 15 minutes of drinking a specialized cherry pomegranate formulation, the restricted channels in your body physically flush open. People typically experience a soothing warmth in their extremities and a sudden clearing of brain fog. You don't even have to guess if it's working. A simple oral test strip can physically measure your saliva before and after, showing your exact transition from cellular hypoxia to total oxygen saturation in real time. Sustaining that deep crimson level yields structural results. Within 7 days, your vascular network regains its elasticity, and within 30 days, your heart operates under significantly less daily stress. The result is a sharp clearing of that afternoon mental fog, replaced by a smooth, steady surge of cellular energy that lasts up to 5 hours. By choosing biological dilation over the chemical constriction of caffeine, we can step out of the capillary chokehold and finally reclaim the physical vitality our bodies were built for.